G'day there guys, Markee here, and welcome back to another episode of r/Am I the Asshole? Am I the asshole for overruling my wife on a matter concerning our daughter? So I, 42 male, and my wife, 38 female, have a daughter who is 14, who is friends with the son, 13, of an acquaintance of mine. Because my daughter and her friend are different genders, my wife insists on always supervising their playdates. Our daughter can't go to his house, he has to come here. She always watches the kids when they are together and doesn't let our daughter close the door when they are in her room. To be honest, I always thought my wife was being fairly reasonable until this incident. Kids are kids, and they are nearing the complicated age, so I always backed my wife up, even when my daughter begged to be allowed to her friend's house. Recently, my wife was watching the kids while I was at work, and she realized she needed some things from the store. She made the children go with her so they wouldn't be alone. Apparently, I'm obviously getting all of this info secondhand, the kids wandered off while she was shopping. While they were alone, an employee approached my daughter's friend and accused him of stealing something. My daughter's friend turned out his jacket pockets, and there was nothing in there but his phone and keys. The employee demanded my daughter's friend remove his jacket because she thought something was hidden under the jacket. My daughter's friend refused and said he didn't steal anything. My daughter called for my wife and she showed up pretty quickly. My wife sided with the employee and asked my daughter's friend to remove the jacket. When he did, the employee saw the necklace he was wearing and demanded he take it off so she could inspect it to see if it was merchandise from the store. I have seen him wearing this necklace before for the record. At this point, he ran out of the store into the cold, not wearing a jacket, and called his grandfather to come pick him up. I was at work when my acquaintance called me, furious. He said his son was half frozen when his dad got to him, which I believe because it's very cold here right now, and that my wife profiled his son. He told me that his son won't be going over to my house ever again. Edit. My daughter wants me to add this. She, unlike me, knows how to use Reddit properly and edit posts. Her friend is mixed race. His father was Indian, like India, not Native American. A lot of people asked and I didn't know, so hopefully they see this. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. Okay, I'm not super tech savvy and I accidentally deleted the second half of the story from my post, so here is the rest of it and why I think I might be the asshole. Now, my wife did end up apologizing to this boy, but he still isn't allowed at our house. Here is the part where I may be the asshole. I've been letting my daughter go over to their house for playdates. The grandfather is always home to watch the kids, and as far as I know, she's been having a good time. My wife is furious with me for allowing this. I gave the school permission to let the grandfather pick her up with her friend, and has called me a terrible husband and a poor excuse for a father. She thinks I'm just trying to save face with my acquaintance. The thing is, that is not the case. I just don't think my daughter should be punished for my wife's actions. From what I heard, it sounds like my daughter stood up for her friend. She even told the employee that he shouldn't have to turn out his pockets because the employee didn't have a warrant. My wife is the one who messed up. I basically told my wife that actions have consequences, and now she isn't speaking to me. This whole situation has basically ruined Christmas for the whole family. I initially felt like I was in the right, but now I'm not sure because my whole family is miserable on Christmas because I won't listen to my wife. Reddit, am I the asshole? And now in the comments, since when do 14-year-olds have playdates? By 14 years old, there are no playdates. They are hangouts. OP replies, that's what my mother always called them, and that's what my wife and I call them. Maybe it's a regional thing. Wow. OP says, honestly, I don't see how that's relevant to whether or not I'm the asshole here. It's just terminology, right? It's relevant in the sense that it's just another piece of evidence that you guys treat your 14-year-old like she's 5. OP replies to that, I don't know if this makes me look better or worse, but the supervision rule was only for this friend, because he's a boy, and because our daughter is 14 and getting to the experimental phase. We don't have the supervision rule for her female friends. Is everyone this overprotective where you live? 'Cause this is how you get a resentful teen that will lie to you both. Trust goes both ways. Edit, didn't read your reaction to it all. Good on you for respecting your daughter and standing your ground. Now she'll only lie to your wife. OP says, maybe? Honestly, when I was her age, I never would have been hanging out with a girl alone one-on-one. My sisters never would have been allowed to either. The fact that my daughter's best friend is a boy honestly weirded me out at first, but I know times change and I want my daughter to be happy, so the supervision was the compromise. My wife feels like I went back on our deal with our daughter and am letting her win, which will teach her not to respect us. I don't see it that way though because, well, my daughter didn't create this situation, my wife did. Y'all are gonna be in for a real surprise if your daughter turns out to be some flavor of queer. When I was in college, there was one easy test to see who had the strictest parents. They would be the ones partying the hardest because they finally got their freedom. Your wife needs to decide if she prefers teaching your kid good decision-making and open communication, or teaching her how to sneak around behind your backs and discouraging her from talking with you about things that she could use guidance on. We train our kids to be adults. If you keep doing their homework for them, they will be unprepared once they get out on their own. Take the time that you have now to ease her into adulthood. It pays dividends later. I mean, all of the hangout stuff aside, your wife clearly threw this kid under the bus at the store because she didn't like him. Pretty screwed up, honestly. Poor dude. And OP replies, "Welp, turns out this is exactly the case. I wanted to talk to my daughter, but obviously she is still asleep, so I went upstairs. I've been hiding in the living room because of the whole my wife not speaking to me thing. My wife was still awake and all of your comments were fresh on my mind, so I asked her some questions. I said point blank, 'Do you not trust our daughter?' Obviously she was furious, and she said that she did. She said it's teenage boys that she doesn't trust, and asked me if I remember what I was like as a teenager. I asked her if this boy has ever given her a reason not to trust him, and well, she exploded. She said a lot, but one thing really struck with me. She said, just because acquaintance name wanted to take in a street urchin for the novelty of it all shouldn't mean it's our problem. I never wanted them to spend time together, but you insisted on compromise even though we're supposed to be the parents. We gave an inch, and now look, they've gone and taken a mile. I was floored. I never knew she felt that way. Now I'm scared that there may have been other instances before this that I never heard about because they weren't as bad. It's clear to me now that she hates this kid. When my daughter wakes up, I'm taking her for our breakfast. She and her mum need to not be around each other right now, and we are going to have a long talk that will probably include some groveling from me. Holy crap, I can't believe I was so checked out of my marriage. I had no idea my wife literally hates our daughter's best friend. Not the asshole. Do you really think we did such a bad job raising our daughter that you need to worry about her doing whatever it is that she's going to do? What do you think they did wrong? And what do you think they need to change so we can turn her into someone we can trust? It's weird how some people always worry their kid is going to do something, but they never bother to change how they raise them to not be a person who would do it. They never seem to want to put the effort in on that part, but find endless time and effort for micromanaging or whatever you want to call it. They act like it's inevitable and want no plan to try to stop it other than watching and restricting them. And OP replies, "Wow, this really struck me. You know, reading these comments, I felt more confused than initially, but this one hit me. The thing is, I do trust my daughter. She is so smart and such a good kid. It never occurred to me that all this time I was, in a way, telling her I don't trust her. I think I need to have a talk with my daughter. I owe her an apology." And now back up to the post, I'm going to say the edits are the updates to this story. Edit 2. My wife texted me that there was an emergency and I needed to call her, so I stepped out of the theater and did so. Guess what? No emergency. No surprise either. She told me that I had no right to separate her from her daughter on Christmas. I said it was her choice and confronted her about what my daughter said at breakfast, especially about the food thing. She started crying and said that I had no idea what that boy put her through. I hung up. F this. It's Christmas. I'm watching Home Alone with my daughter. And edit 3. My daughter said this comment needs to be in the post itself. Yeah, the paying attention to the movie didn't last. She's become really intrigued by all of these comments and has been on my phone for the last 20 minutes. I'm pasting it in. She showed me how. So my daughter and I are at the movies right now. After breakfast, she said she didn't want to go home, so we're going to the Christmas movie marathon at the local theater. She wants to get snacks. I gave her $30 so she would come back with a small tub of popcorn. God damn these concession prices, man. So I'm going to tell you guys some of what happened at breakfast. It was a lot, so apologies if some stuff seems rushed over. My wife is blowing up my phone right now, but I don't want to talk to her. This wasn't the first time something like this happened, just the first time it happened in public. Here are some of the things my daughter told me my wife did that they kept quiet about for fear of not being allowed to hang out anymore. I know, I'm a piece of crap. I understand that now. I hate myself. My wife screamed at this kid for giving my daughter a gymnastics lesson. He's on a gymnastics team. They weren't doing anything dangerous. She made them stop and called him a pervert. I know. She screamed at them for playing with makeup. It belonged to my daughter and was a gift from my sister. I don't think it was expensive stuff. And even if it was though, who cares? She made him wash his face and go home. He told his grandfather he had a stomachache that day apparently. She told him he eats too much food at our house. This is the worst one for me. I was mad when she told me that. So, yeah. Learned some stuff about my wife. It's clear to me now that I haven't been an active member of my marriage in a long time. This was hard to learn. The hardest part was knowing that my daughter didn't trust me with any of this because she assumed that I would side with her mom. I let my daughter read this thread. She wanted to know what made me change my perspective, so I told her. She wanted to read the comments that people made, and I was hesitant because of the foul language, but she's 14. She's not a baby, and I know she hears just as bad at school. We got to talking about the lesbian comments. She asked me what I would think of that. I told her I wouldn't care. I really wouldn't. She said she might be bi, but isn't sure. I cried a little bit because I made her feel like she couldn't tell me that. And honestly, I'm even more ashamed of that than all of the stuff with my wife, as twisted as that is. My wife and daughter haven't been getting along for a while. A lot of it centers around this friend, but there's more to it. My wife and daughter view the world in fundamentally different ways. Edit 4. I asked my daughter to stop reading the stuff on this post. Obviously now that she's seen it, she can just go on Reddit on her own phone and find it again, but trust has to start somewhere, right? We gave up on the Christmas marathon. We are both too upset to sit still and watch a movie. I took her to my sister's and then went home to talk to my wife. I needed to get some things straightened out with her before I took my daughter home. It didn't go well. My wife apologized when I got home. She was crying. She said the holidays were so stressful and that she had a bit of a breakdown. She begged me to go get our daughter and bring her home. I said I would once we talked. She kept sobbing, so I went and got her some water. I said we could talk or I could leave, but I wasn't going to get our daughter until we talked. Eventually, she stopped crying and talked to me. She fessed up to the gymnastics incident and said my daughter's friend touched her inner thigh. My daughter never mentioned this part. I asked my wife why she never told me this, but she didn't give me a straight answer. The makeup incident, she said, was because she wanted our daughter to wear that makeup to a certain event and was mad that she wasted it. Also that sharing makeup is like sharing soap and unsanitary. I didn't know this. Again, I don't feel this justifies her reaction. And also, my wife didn't buy the makeup, so I don't think she has a right to get mad about the waste. The food thing she said was misconstrued. She said he took a larger than necessary portion and didn't eat all of it. She told him to take a smaller initial portion next time. We had the same problem with our son when he was a teenager, so I believe this and am glad she wasn't trying to keep the poor kid from eating. I told her I want to go to family therapy, and she agreed. I'm sitting in the living room now, calming down before I go back to my sister's to get my daughter. That was extremely emotionally draining. What a way to spend Christmas morning. Edit 5. My daughter refused to go home. I felt like forcing her would destroy our relationship for good, so we've kind of been hanging out at my sister's. My sister left to get ready for her holiday plans, so we've just been talking. The reason I'm updating is because what she said freaked me out, so I need some advice before I say the wrong thing and alienate her for good. because this is all uncharted for me. My wife has been calling constantly, but I've been ignoring her. I know it's wrong, but she'll react even worse than me, so I just can't talk to her right now. I asked my daughter if she has feelings for her friend. She said she didn't know. She told me that their friendship is more important than that. I legitimately do not understand what this means, so I just nodded. She said he's the only one who understands her. She also said that she loves learning gymnastics from him, that it makes her feel good, like her body is something beautiful instead of just a burden. I have no idea how to interpret that. She also said that, in addition to the makeup, they sometimes, I don't know how they managed this without my wife noticing because she would have lost it, wear each other's clothes. She said she likes wearing boy clothes and likes seeing him in her dresses and skirts. Again, I just nodded and thanked her for telling me. I don't know what to say. Help. And I'm going to take that as the end of the story for now. If there is a further update, I will read the further update. Our next post is titled, Am I the asshole for ruining my little sister's birthday? I'm super torn on this one. Sorry for any spelling mistakes. So, my little sister turned 4 yesterday on Saturday. The party was 15 adults in total, family of my stepdad, 6 children between the ages of 3 and 5, and me, female 15, all safe, all tested. I was supposed to stay with the kids and entertain them while the adults hang out. Well, on Friday, at school, I got sick. Threw up in front of everyone, had to be helped to the nurse's office. Super embarrassing. Anyway, the day of the party comes and I feel like death. Like, it literally hurts to move. I know it's not the virus because I already had it and this feels worse, but Mum doesn't really care, so I must be at the party with the kids. Well, I did for a while, but I literally felt super bad and just couldn't handle the energy of 6 kids at a birthday party, so I told my mom I was going to my room for a while. We had a huge fight, she sent me to my room as punishment, and, well, not even 15 minutes after that, she storms into my room screaming at me about how I ruined the party and how everyone had to leave. They didn't even get to the cake or the presents part. My sister was obviously upset about that, and my mum is extremely mad. So is my stepdad, and I am just confused. I know I was in the wrong for not doing what I was supposed to do, but also, there was enough adults to look after the kids. The point is, I ruined the party, even if it wasn't on purpose, and now everyone is mad at me. Now in the comments, this is absurd. 15 adults were there and yet they couldn't watch 6 children? How does that make any sense? Not the asshole. I mean, if you were supposed to be able to single-handedly watch the kids, what prevented your mum from doing it? How is any of this your fault? Right? Like a 5-to-2 adult-to-kid ratio is such an untenable situation that a party must be cut short, but 1 teen to 6 toddlers was cool? I'm willing to bet the real reason the party was cut short was because OP was going to end up being the only sober, adultish person there. I was wondering if maybe Mum let it slip that OP was sick while complaining about them, and the other adults got mad at her. Like, what's even the point of everyone getting tested before the party if you are going to ignore that one person in your house is obviously sick? OP, you did nothing wrong. Your mum was completely in the wrong for 1, having you around children and others while sick, 2, yelling at you during the party, and 3, blaming you after the party ended. Honestly, your mum comes off entirely unreasonable and toxic AF in this scenario. Is this normal? How is your relationship with your dad? Like, is staying with him a possibility? Not the asshole. Your mum is all types of wrong. First, it's her kid's party, so she needs to be watching the kids, not you. Second, you could be contagious. Like, that is so irresponsible of her. What? Not the asshole. Let's get one thing straight. You didn't ruin the party, your mum did. You were sick, and your mum decided that 15 adults were incapable of watching 6 toddlers, but weirdly, 1 teenager would be fine doing it. It makes absolutely no sense. It sounds more like your mum was having a party for her, disguised in a kid's party, and got upset that the babysitter couldn't make it so she couldn't have her adult party. It's messed up. You should not be responsible for the success or failure of a kid's birthday party. Not to mention that you were sick. You could have gotten the kid sick. And now back up to the post, there is an update. Hi, sorry I disappeared. Like some of you told me, my appendix exploded or something like that. Sadly, I survived though. Obviously. I'll post a proper update later or reply to the rest of the comments once I feel less tired. By the way, my dad is not in the picture, and that's kind of a sensitive subject, so I would be grateful if people can stop suggesting that I go with him. And now on to the update. Hi, I honestly didn't expect to have any reply on the original post. Not much really happened. After reading most of the comments, I realized it could have been serious. I didn't do anything that night, but I waited a few hours and somehow made it to school like someone in the comments had told me. I know it was not super responsible for me, but I was feeling a bit better by then, and calling an ambulance or Uber would just cause trouble. I told the school nurse that I wasn't feeling well, and at first she was like, "You again?" because I've been there like 3 times so far. I just rested there, and then I was suddenly hysterically crying, and I was so nervous that I couldn't English properly. I ended up at the hospital. My appendix bursted or something. The doctors gave it a name, but I'm not sure what it was, and anyway, I will probably spell it wrong. Mum visited every day and acted all nice in front of everyone, so as always, no one believed me. I got punished and still am, had limited use of my phone for some time. Luckily I have it back now because of work and school. I wasn't able to retake the test, but at least my sister is not mad at me. And it was peritonitis. Someone spelled it for me. Thanks. And now in the comments, glad to hear that you made it out of the hospital okay. I would still definitely go see your school counselor or psychologist about what's going on at home. You may have to make a pain in the butt of yourself because your mum seems to be good at putting on a show, but keep going and reporting how you are being treated at home. Advocate for yourself. There are things in place to help kids in your position. Your living situation is detrimental to your well-being, and you need someone outside of your house to talk to you and help you. Please take care of yourself. I'm sorry you don't have a parent that you can rely on for this. And OP says, to be honest, I already gave up on someone listening or believing me. Please don't give up on this. Just because your parents have failed in such an almighty way doesn't mean the rest of the world will. Just look at all of these internet strangers who do believe you and want something better for you. If all of us out here can want this for you, there will be someone in your life who does too. Keep reaching out. You will find them. Oh, you poor sweetheart. Your mother sounds like a monster. Seriously, you should have never been put in that position. She knew you were sick, yet allowed you to potentially infect all of those children. Also, being the one responsible for all of those children when there were so many adults there. This is not normal. You should reach out to a trusted adult and talk to them about this. Not the asshole at all, and your mum and stepdad are awful. I'm so sorry. I hope that they wake up and give you the love and attention that you deserve. I'm glad you were feeling better. Hugs from this internet mum. And that's where I'm going to end the episode today, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, leave a like. If you dislike, leave a dislike. As always, I'm very glad to be back from holidays and pumping out content once again. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you in the next episode, hopefully, and I hope you have a good one. Bye.